Welcome back to Investor Edge. I'm your host Trent, simplifying smarter investing for everyone. Today is February 4th, Tuesday. I'm going to be talking about my swing trade watch list, kind of a mid-week. We're going into mid-week. I really wanted to talk about Google and AMD and what I'm looking at, what I'm thinking about on the markets, and levels that I might be interested in off potential swing setups of other stocks that I'll talk about here in my notes. Just a reminder, this is for educational purposes. I'm not a financial advisor. Don't take positions, in anything unless you've done your own research. I hope you learned something. If you have questions or want to know more, like, subscribe, leave comments. I'd love to hear any feedback and get other people's thoughts. Let's just pull up my notes. We'll start with that. So this is just kind of a summary. We experienced pretty volatile tech sector last week. Leading into even this week, there was earnings coming out. PLTR was huge. GOOG, Google was after hours. AMD, we're going to talk about that. But overall, tech industry was pretty volatile, especially overall the Qs and everything. Everything has been kind of up down, and we're looking for direction, right? When you're talking swings, you want to buy into strength or you want to sell into weakness. Right now, it seems like there's just mixed bag feelings. At some points you think there's sector rotation. Defensive stocks were looking really good. So I kind of have a mixed bag as well. I wanted to wait for this post earnings. That's one thing about earnings season. It really moves when you talk about these key players like Google, Apple, like last week. It really can change the overall feel of the market. So when you're talking swing trading, you want to let that dust sort of settle. Now, my swing trading in this concept is over the period of a few days, not necessarily weeks or anything like that. I'm strictly looking at a shorter time frame, 1 to 4-ish days approximately. So I had a watch list I sent out, or that I reviewed earlier, just a few days ago. I've narrowed that down just based on things that I'm seeing, but especially the more broad spectrum market and what may affect these positions. So if market volatility persists, meta platforms, tech leadership, relative strength, it's kind of countered everything. Kinross Gold, totally defensive play, gold, safe haven. General Electric, cyclical performer, industrials market, if the market stabilizes, people are going to look for, or, if tech is volatile, people are going to look for these types of safe havens. So it's really, these are my two main focus if volatility persists. However, meta is kind of like that, so, just because tech overall, or large tech players are not doing well, others might do really well, right? It's counterintuitive to a degree. So if the market stabilizes, I did not like how Apple reacted at post earnings. It's been pretty choppy right after. We'll pull up the charts as well. Shopify, if you would have just bought Shopify earlier this week, I think you'd be up 6 or 7%. FTNT, Fortinet, stable tech exposure, cybersecurity. We're going to look at all these on the charts. Let's just look at broad market stuff. I tried to make a video yesterday. Unfortunately, I didn't have time or couldn't finish up my notes, and I just moved on to today. As of February 3rd, 2025, U.S. stock market has shown mixed signals over the past two trading sessions, reflecting heightened volatility stemming from key earnings reports. And policy developments. Oh, that's funny. Yesterday, markets exhibited roller coaster session. We're talking about Monday morning. Dow initially dropping as much as 665 points before recovering. It was only down 122 points, so huge reversal in the Dow. Money was flowing around in all kinds of different directions. Techs in particular faced selling pressure, contributing to downside. Investors waiting for upcoming earnings results. I think a lot of that had to do with, this week was big tech earnings, or more big tech earnings. Today's markets, so fast forwarding to the 4th, rebounded strongly, Dow gaining 185 points, accompanied by small gains at SP 500, and the Qs were up, just under 0.5%. However, after hours, that's why I wasn't taking any swings. I've primarily been focused on my day trades, which I use my day trades to fund my long-term portfolio. Now, however, optimism was tempered after hours. Google posted disappointing earnings, leading to after hours declines. At the time, it was 6.8%. I think it's even greater now. and AMD was 4.3. I think that might even be greater now. Reinforces ongoing uncertainty, suggesting that while certain sectors like industrials and defenses are showing strength, tech remains vulnerable and volatile, right? So we need to evaluate where we want to be. Now, this is just stocks that I've selected based on my criteria, and I can show you how I find that and why I narrowed into these three. So my top three candidates if market volatility persists. Meta, even though it's at the top, it's just because it's such a strong tech leader and it's in so many different areas. I mean, I think, what did they announce? Like, I forgot how many billions of users now across all their platforms. They're just a monster. And a lot of people focus solely on tech. And when I say a lot of people, I mean firms, funds. Just because Google or AMD, whoever else out there is not performing so well with recent earnings reports, doesn't mean Meta is going to follow suit. So my revised stance. This is revised from yesterday. As a top pick due to its resilience, leadership potential, periods of market fluctuation, strong earnings and growth, advertising provides stable foundation even amid volatility of other tech giants. Yeah, I pretty much summarized that. Kinross Gold, purely defensive. KGC remained flat today, held its ground with defensive plays and focus. It's not the most glamorous thing, but, where there's fear in one area and, the tech, and there may be sell-off or continued volatility to the downside, I'm still overall in the market's bullish, right? It's just a matter of finding the right ones to be in. I'm not saying, short the entire market. You never say that, right? Just zoom out and think about it for a minute. With the potential policy risk from tariffs, tech sector uncertainty, defensive inflows into gold stocks could gain continued traction. I think it was up 10% last week, so it's kind of just holding nicely. I'm gonna continue to look for that. GE, same thing, steady performer, cyclical exposure. Gained 0.6% today. I think it was down a little yesterday. It was up like 2.5% last week. I'm not saying I want tech to, be hit hard with the AMD and Google reports or earnings that just came out. But if they do, I want to buy into things that have strength, Revised stance. GE remains a steady candidate for swing, particularly in mixed market environment, right? It's going to move more when everything else is failing. People are going to funnel into those stronger things. Now, if the market's stabilized, though, right? What if we come out tomorrow, and I'm really interested. Tomorrow I'm going to probably take positions. It's just a matter of what does the morning session look like, and then I'm going to start looking for levels that I like. So if the market stabilizes, Apple, I didn't love the sell-off in earnings, but it's Apple. They're going to, at some point, it's going to bounce. It's just a matter of when, right? If they may rip tomorrow, who knows? They closed pretty strong today. We're going to look at that as well. It rebounded 1.5% today from yesterday's 3.39% drop. May face renewed pressure due to Google. I don't really think so much AMD, but maybe they're kind of in everything, right? Apple's bigger than most countries, so they're doing you talk about tech, Apple's involved. Cautiously optimistic. It's a good way to put it. Remains on top candidate for a bounce if market stabilizes. Yeah, it's Apple, right? And I don't have to really say much more. Shopify. Shopify's been doing really good. I like it. I like the amount of movements that it typically makes. I like the strength within Shopify. Gained 1.8% today. I think it even closed strong after hours. Following yesterday's losses, it continues to benefit from growth stock inflows during risk-on environments. Maintain Shop as a high priority swing candidate if the market continues to stabilize, right? I think, it's great growth fundamentals, make it strong contender for gains, particularly the volatility subsides. So, Fortinet, FTNT tech exposure with stability. So, update gained like 0.5% today, not really much. I think it was up like 3 or 4% last week. I have to go back and check my previous notes. Still a solid option. Solid gains in recovery market. It is less volatile. Nature provides downside protection while offering upside if tech sector rebounds. Yeah, so it's kind of a safe bet. I would kind of put this one in between both. So again, I'm going to watch all these. These are just like how I try to group them, and then I put them all on watch. I want to see how the market's going to open tomorrow, especially when earnings are coming out, especially something like Google, which makes up, 9% of the Qs, I think, with the market cap. So that's what I'm interested in. So let's just kind of summarize it real quick. Today's strong section suggests that the market may attempt to build off this momentum, but after hours reactions to AMD, Google earnings introduce caution for tech heavy. Volatility returns, defensive plays, KGC, resilient leaders like Meta could outperform. Conversely, if the market stabilizes, AAP or Apple, Shop, and FTNT remain strong candidates. I didn't list GE in here. I don't know why. I want to monitor tomorrow's opening. That's my biggest takeaway. I'm going to be looking to take something. It's just a matter of I want to, markets are going to do something, and I'm going to play off that just like everybody else. I want to see how this reacts in the first, 30 to an hour, and then I'm going to narrow in exactly what I want to be involved in. So if I were to be a bias, my focus is going to be KGCG if resilient tomorrow. I'll be cautious about everything else, but my leaning stance is I think tech is going to continue to experience some volatility tomorrow. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the charts. I'm going to pull over AMD first. So these are my swing view setups. What I have here, this red line is anchored VWAP from previous week. So this is just by default. I'm not saying I'm watching AMD, but I just want to explain what these are first. So that's anchored VWAP from Monday last week. This is anchored VWAP from this week. And then I always have the current session at the beginning. So I just have this one up because I want to show you post earnings. 126 sold off. It's down to 106, a $20 move after hours between both ends. It's going to be a weird one tomorrow. Definitely going to be interesting. The real one is Google. Yeah, just crushed 211, which was above 52-week highs, right? And who knows? It could bounce, right? We don't know. That's why we got to see how the market reacts in the morning. This could completely recover. Who knows? Doesn't look like it at the moment. And I want to wait and see what this is going to affect in the overall market in the first, again, opening range 30 to an hour. I want to see where everything starts to settle in, where the volume and the pressures are coming at. And then I'll be focused on my watch list. Let me pull up my notes real quick and get over to the side. So let's go by one. We'll just start with Meta. I'll go ahead and turn off. I don't really care about after hours or pre-market. I'm talking swing trading. I'm focused on the dailies. But I zoom in. I look at 60-minute candles, but I use longer time frame volume weighted average prices to verify. So yeah, we are in, pretty steady uptrend, right? Here's last Monday's anchored VWAP. It's bounced. It's gotten consolidation near that level. Bounced, higher high, higher low, right? Didn't quite make higher highs yet, but that's what I'm looking at. This right here, Monday, if you were really aggressive, you could have just been buying off of this. I don't think it's necessarily going to get down there. It's not reacting yet to Google, which shows resilience after hours. Now, after hours, again, doesn't really mean much. In the morning, this could just gap down. Who knows? But what I'm seeing, and you got to trade what you see, not what you think, we have, the longer time frame is below all the other ones, right? So I might be interested in starting a position wherever this number comes in at if the market looks strong and if Meta seems to be having buying pressure in the morning. There's going to be some, moves. I'm not just going to say I'm going to buy the high, the high break of the 710 level. But if there's any sort of pullback, I'm going to have my finger on the trigger, really looking for anything below this. I'll probably be watching the tape. I zoom in a little more. It's, a nice thing I can, stay here and watch the morning open and focus on. But I'm really looking, again, for higher time frame. If everything else is selling off and this is holding up strong and buyers are coming in, and that volume in the first 30 to 40 minutes is all on the buy side, that convinces me that I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna hold into this, and then put something on. I have different metrics. I'll be looking at average daily ranges, maybe just a simple moving average, right? But I like what I'm seeing so far. So it's, again, I want to see what broader market does and see how Meta responds to it. KGC, not identical chart, right? Obviously, completely different from Meta, but you get the idea now. Last week, Anchor VWAP, Monday morning, the open. Highs of the weeks just continue to make new highs, and now we're just ranged in this 1128 to 1170 area. And if overall market looks weak or volatility consists, I'll probably be a buyer in KGC. It's gold. It's going to be defensive, and I'm going to want to see other buyers step in first, and I want to see how it's going to open. Same idea. GE. Yeah, kind of hovering around after hours, basically unchanged. No, real volume. Again, anchored VWAP. That red line is kind of my big marker. I like, hindsight's everything. If the market starts to react volatile tomorrow in tech and everywhere else, this is kind of a key point that we had a lot of buying pressure in that day, in that morning, right off of, just happens to be off the anchored VWAP level. Or some people just call it the 200, right? Like, there's different ways to look at it. Not everyone has to look at it the same. A lot of times things coincide. This is also probably, if you were to throw up a Fibonacci retracement from here to here, that's probably a key level too, right? A lot of things just happen to coincide. It just depends. I like the way I set up my charts. They make sense to me, and that's just how I like to view things. And let's go to Apple. What is Apple doing? So it is hovering under, and this is why I was a little more cautious with Apple. You can see that, again, these are 60-minute candles. This is last Monday, just rallies and rips after coming out of this, extended, couple of week downtrend essentially, but it's Apple, right? I mean, who knows exactly when it's going to get there, but it'll get there. That's kind of the whole point. I mean, it could pull back much further for a while, but that's a huge move. The little bit deeper sell-off than I would have loved, right? I don't love that it's just under that. Might be a slower play, not saying I'm going to get into it tomorrow, but if it pulls through, consolidates strongly into the close, that confirms to me that, okay, we're going to start to reapproach those 240s and beyond. If the market, everything else is going down, and Apple's finishing strong, that's starting to set up a clearer trend. I don't think there's any other big earnings coming out this week. I think most of them are already reported or don't report for a while. But I'll revisit that tomorrow. I'll try to do another video tomorrow. I'll let you know if I entered anything. Shopify. Yeah, Shopify is doing good. Same thing, really strong week last week. That's why it made its way onto my list along with other factors. Pretty deep pull off, but yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Pulled through that. I want to see Apple do that, and that's going to convince me to start stepping in and, looking for lows and dips and things like that, as everyone calls it. I don't try to be the first one to the show. I just want to be right in my direction. My goal is to make, a couple percent, a couple of points off of a move with relatively pretty tight stops. My concept is to swing over a couple of nights, or one night, ideally, maybe 2 or 3 at the most. It just depends on what, market changes quickly, and you're talking swings in a shortened time frame. Now, if we were talking about multi-week swings, more positional type trading, it'd be different. I wouldn't be looking at 60-minute candles really. I'd be looking at much longer time frames. But it's a fast enough view while also a long enough view, in my opinion, because we can see again, this is a huge move from 102 to 122, so a $20 move within a week. Gave up some of that, basically tested the 110 level, which is exactly, half the move essentially. And now we're right back up to the 120 level. What's the market going to look like tomorrow? If this starts breaking through highs, I mean, it might be, you see how fast this thing moves when it's up there. And it's also the 122 is 52-week highs. So, to be really curious. As we talked about last week was volatile in the tech, and look at how well this performed, right? That's why it's on my list. Do I think it's going to beat out every week like that? I don't know. It's a pure growth thing, but it's totally different, you know. So I like it. I like what I'm seeing here. And it's last but not least, FTMT. Yep, same thing. Exactly what you want to see. Levels moving off of each other. You know, these are all the ones I'll be interested in. But again, I want to see how the market opens, what the reaction is going to be to, especially Google. It might shake it. I might not do anything with it. You know, who knows? But Google's a huge company. Again, I think it makes up, you know, I think it was like 9 or 10% of the Qs. So just based on market cap. So it's definitely going to do something, and I'm curious to see. Let's go over and look quickly. Are there any new earnings? Tech earnings tomorrow. I don't think there's anything alarming tomorrow. Earnings on Wednesday 5th. Simply Yahoo Finance calendar. Nothing that strikes out. Nothing that's really gonna shock anything. So yeah, I'm gonna watch the open. Like, subscribe. You know, I appreciate watching this. And if you have any comments, questions, if you'd like me to go over anything, I would love feedback. Thank you.